quote, as a people, we must become producers and not remain consumers and employees. We must be able to extract raw materials from the earth and manufacture them into something useful for ourselves. This would create jobs in production. We must remember that without land there is no production, and the surplus of what we produce we would sell. This would help develop a field of commerce and trade as other free and independent people whose population is less than that of ours, so-called Negroes. The truth must be recognized by the black man.
We're talking about revolution because that's the era that you're caught in. You're caught in a revolutionary era.
Defending black women and black children and black babies and black men.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad outlined some basic principles. Number one, recognize the necessity for unity and group operation. Do you understand that if we can work together as a group in unity, we will be more successful, more powerful, more able to do the things that as individuals working by ourselves we have never been able to do. Pool your resources physically as well as financially. Stop wanton criticism of everything that is black owned and operated. Keep in mind that jealousy destroys from within. Observe the operations of the white man. He is successful. He makes no excuses for his failures. He works hard in a collective manner. You do the same. Now, these are things that we must do. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad asked us to commit to save 5 cents a day. He said if we can save just 5 cents a day from our wages, 25 cents a week for 52 weeks in the year, that would mean we would put aside $13 a year that we could save in a national savings treasury. At that time that he wrote this, we numbered 22 million people and approximately 5 million were wage earners. Well, if 5 million wage earners save $13 a year, this would mean 65 million saved out of our wages in 1 year. At the rate of 25 cents per week, it would be painless. Today, brothers and sisters, don't you think we can do better than what we were asked to do 48 years ago? According to government statistics, there are a little over 16 million blacks employed at some level. Well, look what happens if we raise the economic bar and contribute the same nickel a day. The truth must be recognized by the black man.
Defending black women and black children and black babies and black men.
Greetings, listeners. I begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I bear witness that there is but one God. Welcome to the Black Agenda here on the Street 919 FM. I am Brother David Muhammad, and I'm going to be in studio with you up to 9 o'clock this morning, inshallah. And in a short while from now, I will open up the telephone lines and take your calls on 342-0081 and 466-5391. And you can also go to the social media pages of the Street 919 FM and follow the program in studio. You can also send WhatsApp messages directly to me on 3320214. All right, people. So I've literally been on a whirlwind over the last 3 weeks or so. And as you may know by now, those of you who have been following up on me on social media, I was honored with a great, great blessing. Yes, I have come back from Africa. And this happened so suddenly, so quickly, so last minute, that I'm still processing it, because a lot has happened since then too. You would have seen, again, now I'm speaking in this context of those who follow my social media pages. I did one video from Africa, from Ghana, centered around a business project between an African business in Trinidad, trading company, and our brothers and sisters in Africa, on the backdrop of the Africa CARICOM initiative, which since more than a year ago, I had said that this is something that we must honor every year. This is something that we must ensure that we are a part of. And even though the governments of Africa and the governments of the Caribbean pledged to every year host that forum, that we, whether they follow up on it or not, that we have to ensure on the grassroots level that we continue to build those bridges between people of African descent in the diaspora and on the mother continent. And really, well, I mean, it's a number of factors, but the main one, or a main catalyst, being one video that I did, that I posted on social media regarding Africa-Caribbean unity and a number of initiatives. And that video was seen in Africa. I'm not going to go into the specifics of it. And I got a phone call on Monday morning, 3 or 4 weeks ago, saying, Brother David, would it be possible for you to board a flight later today to come to Africa? It didn't take me that long to make the mental readjustments. And later on that evening, there I was on a flight to London to connect to get a flight to Ghana. Now, let me share this with us, because last year, September the 7th, 2021, was the first ever Africa CARICOM Summit, Heads of Government Summit. It was done online But it was the first ever. And one of the initiatives was to have a direct flight between Africa and the Caribbean. And Barbados was the designated Caribbean country where a flight would leave. And, well, my understanding was Ghana was a designated country in Africa. So, in other words, if, let's say, someone in Antigua wants to go to Kenya, the person in Antigua would take a plane to Barbados, then from Barbados they'll fly to Ghana, and then from Ghana to Kenya. I understand it's Nigeria now, actually, but all of that is all good. So my trip took 22 hours. And that was 22 hours cutting it really close. Because I have to tell you about a specific adventure that I had. So I would have left Trinidad on Monday evening, 5:30, to land at Gatwick Airport at 10:30 Tuesday morning. Now check this. There are two main airports in London. Well, there are more than two, but two main international airports. There's Gatwick Airport, which is like south of London, and Heathrow Airport, which is far west. It takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours with a little bit of traffic driving from one airport to another. They tell you have to check in at least 3 hours before for an international flight. We normally work with 2 hours. And then it takes at least an hour to get out of one airport. So you're looking at, you need at least, like, when you add all of that up, a good 5 hours minimum. My flight landed at Gatwick at 10:30. And the flight to leave Heathrow to head to Accra, Ghana, was taking off at 2 p.m. That was 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours, which literally was impossible. But it was a blessing because everything worked like a clock. Literally clockwork. And the timing of this was so beautiful as well. So an hour and a half later, I'm still at Gatwick with 2 hours left to go for a 2-hour drive, and then plus 2 hours needed to check in. Hour and a half later, leave Gatwick, left Gatwick minutes to 12. Remember, this flight is taking off to Ghana at 2, and the airport is 2 hours away, and you still need 2 hours to check in. We got there in 41 minutes, and I was literally the last person, and I still had to fill out an online form and get a screenshot of it, a health declaration form to enter Ghana, which took like an extra 5 minutes or so. And when I sat down on that plane at Heathrow to take off to go to Accra, Ghana, I said to myself, this is a miracle. To think that 24 hours prior to that, I had no clue whatsoever. I would have woken up with that same lifelong dream that I would have had for the last however many decades, that one day I'd go to Africa. 24 hours prior, I had no idea that it would have even been this year, more or less this afternoon. And it was, I mean, clearly words can't say. But I also, like I said, a lot has happened since then. I spent some time in London, did a radio interview there, which we ran on the Black Agenda last week. And then, of course, I just came back from Guyana. I did 9 speaking engagements in 5 days in Guyana. I addressed the police force at Linden, the police force in Georgetown, the Linden Fire Services. I addressed the National Teachers Rally in Linden. I mean, almost about 900 teachers, which I addressed about 3 years ago, by the way. Also, I was a guest of the African Episcopalian Church in Georgetown, the Shiite Muslims in Linden, the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in Georgetown, and then, of course, the Nation of Islam hosted. It's been about two events. So it was so much. It was so much. It was, and remember, I'm in Guyana, but I'm still recovering from being in Africa mentally. And there's so many things. Now, you know, to those who follow my social media pages, you would have not seen a whole lot of posts. I did put up some posts, yes, but you would not have seen a whole lot. But I am going to release soon a video. So couple things. Well, first of all, this morning at the Community Center, hit the ground running because we have a special motivational session for our young men 17 years and under. All are invited, but it's particularly for our young men 17 years and under. This morning at the Kwame Ture Center for the Boys Academy, I have to thank so much the team leaders, the mentors of the George Padmore Boys Academy at the Kwame Ture Center who kept the program running over the last 3 weeks. It was amazing because I got all the videos and photographs. They did some amazing sessions. That's how it would be. I don't have to be there. It's a team. It's a group effort. Different people with different skills, different aptitudes, different abilities involved, working together. So this is session number 4 in cycle number 2 of the George Padmore Boys Academy. And this is the first session I'm doing for this cycle, session number 4. So it goes to tell you of the great team that we have. But this morning, I'm doing a special motivational session for our young men, 17 years and under. And just to give you a little preview into that, we're going to be looking at some of the key themes and ideas from some of the most powerful economic empowerment literature. Books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. The Science of How to Get Rich. Literature like Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and Les Brown and so on. So we're going to be pacing ourselves through some of those ideas, which are extraordinarily powerful ideas. Now, most of those individuals that I mentioned, they do the whole $1 million seminar thing. They come to places like Trinidad, or they'll go to New York or Los Angeles or London or Paris and charge $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 US for a ticket to attend their seminars. And I've always been fascinated with that idea and always figured we have to find a way to get these ideas across to our young people without making them pay for it. So this morning, that is our focus at the Kwame Ture Center, 10 o'clock. All right? But, like I said, we're doing a video. Now, when I was in Ghana, a company paid for, listen to this, 4 hours. 4 hours of video recorded footage. 4 hours. And that was split between 2 documentaries. One was me in a conversation with a king of a community, or what we may refer to as a tribal king, who has an enormous estate, very, very, very wealthy, very, very wealthy. And I was able to get a chance to talk to him. And he was very, very open. He was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very open. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very candid. And he was very, very honest. And he was very, very c well-established gentleman. He was just over the last week, while I was in Guyana, he was actually a guest of the Congressional Black Caucus in the United States, and he was just a guest of the mayor of New York. Guess what? He's coming to Trinidad next week, inshallah. And he's going to be at the Kwame Ture Center. Cannot say exactly when, but we're looking at next week, Saturday morning at 10. That's the plan. But I am one person who could tell you that plans are made to change, right? But that's the plan. So he's coming to Trinidad next week. A fascinating gentleman. And like I said, you know, we'll get him to come and talk to our youth at the Boys Academy next week, Saturday morning, God willing. All right. You'll probably see him on television, and you know, he'll be making a couple media appearances, but I'm not going to preempt that. You'll hear some more about that. So anyway, so a company paid for 4 hours of video footage, of which I interviewed the king for about an hour and a half. Now, the remainder of the footage was done at, again, a place where it was my lifelong dream to visit. That is the place that has been known as the Slave Castles, or better termed, the Slave Dungeons. We filmed a documentary where I'm being given a tour by the tour guide there, and we want to, well, the editing of that will be finished soon, God willing, and we will run the video. We'll have a showing at the Kwame Ture Center. We would also run it on television after that. And on, again, this is the plan, November the 6th. November the 6th. It's not too far away. That's about 3 weeks away. Sunday, November the 6th, we'll be doing the launch for Black History Month 2022 in Trinidad and Tobago. And I will be doing a full PowerPoint audio-visual presentation on the Ghana trip. Of course, I have all this footage, all these photographs. I did post a lot of photographs, but like on my snaps, on my WhatsApp snaps, and on the Facebook storyline, but not posted officially. I just posted one video that I did, which has circulated pretty far and wide. And also I visited the W.E.B. Du Bois Museum in Ghana. Because for those of you, you would have heard me talk about W.E.B. Du Bois on so many occasions. W.E.B. Du Bois was the first black sociologist. And he was the first sociologist. He was the first black PhD. And he was the first sociologist to do socially scientific research on racism. Published it in a paper that he entitled The Philadelphia Negro. Now, this is 1899, around there, when it was published. But at a time where racist views were prevailing about black people are inferior because of the unemployment rate and the school accomplishment statistics and so on and so forth. And that was a prevailing view just coming out of slavery. And W.E.B. Du Bois decided that he's going to approach this scientifically. Now, remember, this was at a time sociology basically began. When I say began, it's been around for a very long time. But the first socially scientific research that was done by a sociologist by the name of Emile Durkheim. Again, late 1890s, around the same time as W.E.B. Du Bois. But he did his research on suicide because, of course, with the Industrial Revolution and the rise of capitalism and the introduction of the division of labor and bureaucracy and this widening gap between the rich and the poor and this minimum wage, families struggling to survive with capitalism being spread all across Europe, suicide rates went up. And people began to formulate all these different opinions about, well, why are so many people killing themselves? And you know how we are when we're unempirical. Oh, it's negative spirits. It's people are possessed by demons. No, it's because food prices are going up. Oh, no, it's because people are losing their jobs. All different kinds of reasons. And so Emile Durkheim decided to do proper empirical research to determine why suicide rates were going up. And of course, it had to do with, well, a number of factors, but basically they were linked to the social changes in day-to-day life as a result of the introduction of capitalism. It was a new kind of cold attachment to this idea of survival. I must make enough money to feed my family or else we will face doom. And that while you had, of course, the elite 1% who, through their exploitation, never had any worries or concerns like that. And so suicide rates went up, particularly among the poor. But anyway, around that same time, W.E.B. Du Bois did studies on racism. And he challenged the Eurocentric view that black people were inferior by showing that there was institutionalized racism in employment practices within the industrial sector. Also within the school system, that there was bias within the educational curriculum. And there was what is called redlining, where communities where a large concentration of African Americans lived, they were toxic dump sites, which created medical hazards that they couldn't afford to pay for through private health care, and then was seen as flooding the system. He highlighted all of these factors. And his conclusion was the state of the black community is due to institutionalized structural racism. But one of the major points of significance of W.E.B. Du Bois, though, is that at the time, he was seen as a not rival, but a critic. Between him and Marcus Garvey, they were somewhat critics of each other. But the beauty in the story is that, remember, Marcus Garvey said, back to Africa. He said, Africa for the Africans at home and abroad. He said, a people without a knowledge of their history is like a tree without roots. And that African people must build these bridges and connections with the homeland, with the mother continent. And, of course, Marcus Garvey established the Black Star Liner shipping company to help repatriate African people in the West back to the homeland of Africa. W.E.B. Du Bois, on the other hand, had a concept called the talented tenth, where he felt, no, we shouldn't really be involved in this back to Africa consciousness. He said the top 1/10 of us can transform the black community right here in America. And so there was somewhat of an ideological standoff between Marcus Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois. But the beauty of the story is in the fact that Marcus Garvey actually never went to Africa himself, even though he was an advocate of Back to Africa. And W.E.B. Du Bois, who had challenged Marcus Garvey's position on Back to Africa with his talented 10th perspective, W.E.B. Du Bois moved to Africa, worked in Africa, and died in Africa. And so the home Where he lived is now a museum. There's a monument to W.E.B. Du Bois in Accra, Ghana. And I visited there and toured through the museum. And it's a bit of a, so when we were there, part of the group that was with me, one of them, you see, the thing is that he made a joke, but apparently the joke was believed a bit until I had to really clarify it. And he said that I was the grandson. He said, this is the grandson of W.E.B. Du Bois. He's from Trinidad. And then, so in me sharing my knowledge about W.E.B. Du Bois, because a beautiful brother from New York, a Muslim brother, his name was Marquise, he used to give me these gifts of framed photographs. And he gave me one large, beautiful color picture framed of Malcolm X in Accra, at that same place, with the wife of W.E.B. Du Bois. And I saw the picture in the museum. And when I was able to explain to them the circumstances around the photograph, they felt, no, he has to have some inside information about W.E.B. Du Bois. But, I mean, I was in his office, in his room, stood up on the very spot where he was greeted by President Kwame Nkrumah. And that was a great, great, great tour. And also, I'll have you know, I wonder if I should do this as a kind of quiz. All right, so when I open the lines, I'll see if you could answer this question. But who do you think is the most famous Trinidadian in Ghana? There's one particular Trinidadian who everyone seems to know about. Now, I'm not talking about the young people. I'm not talking about Dwight York or Brian Lara or Russell Latapi or Richard Thompson or anyone like that, outside of that cultural realm. Ideologically, there's one particular Trinidadian who is so famous in Ghana that the same way that you go to some countries, and they don't know too much about Trinidad, but you say, yeah, that's where Brian Lara is from. Or, yeah, that's where Dwight York is from. Or even that's where Nicki Minaj is from. In Ghana, oh, you don't know much about Trinidad? Well, that is where this particular man is from. And they say, because they don't really know him so much as someone from Trinidad, but they know him as a major ideological leader. I'm not going to say who it is yet. I'm going to open up the lines and say, but there's so much that I have to say. But we're releasing this documentary that we filmed soon on my visit to the slave dungeons. And that was such a chilling experience. That was, you see, now remember, this is something that I've been talking about of just about my entire adult life. But to be there, and I'm going to share that experience with you for Black History Month. Trust me, we have so much great events coming up for Black History Month, as we do every year. But remember, the last couple of years, pandemic, we didn't get to do a whole lot. We still did quite a bit last year, I remember. But I think year before that, even year before that, listen, man, we've never skipped a beat, okay? But, yeah, so we're going to have all that material ready and run it. So, of course, I did some clips from my own phone, which I have posted, but not on Facebook or Instagram. But like I said, I did post one video. But soon, we're going to share all of that with you. for Black History Month. But like I said, it would take a very, very, very long time for all that's in me to come out of me regarding that experience. But let me say this. We, as African people in the Western Hemisphere, we suffer from the after effects of slavery. We already know that. But in a similar way, and listen carefully to my words, in a similar way, Africa suffers from the after effects of colonialism. In a similar kind of way, in some aspects of it. And I saw it firsthand. First of all, the people in Ghana are so beautiful. And I feel sad to say this, but being in Ghana, it was like being in Trinidad minus the self-hatred. Trust me. I mean, of course, I wasn't ever all that long. I didn't live and work and go about everywhere. But that's how I felt. See, in this country, how African people, especially in that politics, which to me becomes more and more disgusting every day. So as you know, my perception of our local political situation, you have two major political parties, and now you have a few of these, you have more smaller political parties that are gaining influence. But it's always one group of Africans who are trying to destroy another group of Africans or defend non-Africans, put them up on a pedestal, become their servants, help them to get richer. And we pull each other down so hard in the process. So being in Ghana, it felt to me like being in Trinidad, minus that rage that we have as African people for each other. And there are certain mannerisms. Imagine, first of all, when I'm in the airport there, I'm smiling. They was saying, what's wrong with this man? Where's he from? What's up with him? You know, and I go to the immigration officer. You know, I say, this is my first time in Africa. I'm very happy to be here. They all say the same thing. You know what they say? When you tell people in Ghana, and I have to wonder, is it just me? But at the airport, you land at the airport, they look at you, they see you're black just like them. But you say, this is my first time in Africa. And everyone that I said that to at that airport said the same thing. 2 words. Welcome home. Not welcome to my country, or welcome to Ghana, or welcome to Africa. They say, welcome home. And you could imagine the effect that would have had on me. So remember, so I landed, it was late in the night. And then the next day, incidentally, was a public holiday. Wow, 2 public holidays. In Guyana, when was it? I think it was Monday. Monday in Guyana was a public holiday. I didn't even know that the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is a public holiday in Guyana. And also the other Eid, not Eid al-Fitr that comes after the holy month of Ramadan, which of course is the public holiday in Trinidad and Tobago, but Eid al-Adha the Eid celebration centered around the sacrifice. That's a public holiday. But Monday was a public holiday in Guyana, birthday of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But the day that I landed, my first full day in Ghana would have been September 21st. That was a public holiday because that was the day that Kwame Nkrumah passed. Now, of course, I've written so much about Kwame Nkrumah in Black Studies. I've shared so much of his wisdom in Black Studies and Knowledge is Power. And then to be there and say, oh, okay, September 21st, right, public holiday in Ghana. But, so I get there late in the night, and we stop at a kind of quick shop on the way back to the hotel. So, yeah, I want to get some items, as I just literally, threw stuff together. So we stop off at a kind of quick shop. And the first little culture shock, this is a little culture shock, is, so you think of you going to the quick shop here by the gas station or any mini mart, and you pick up a basket to buy things, right? The staff take the basket from you and hold it for you and walk with you around the shop. I said to the sister, beautiful sister, a sister met me and said, take me back to America. I'm like, America? I ain't going nowhere near America right now. But so I said, it's okay, it's fine, thank you. And she's like, you sure? I said, yes, fine, no, okay. So I took the basket back myself. She went back to what she was doing, and the supervisor sent another one of the employees to take the basket from me and let me choose the items, and then the employee will put the items in the basket. I was like, wow. But you know how I saw that? I saw it, yes, as a helpful gesture, a beautiful gesture, yeah. But I saw it as, and maybe I'll have to try to do some research on this, but I saw it as a remnant of colonialism. There are certain other mannerisms, like a lot of the people in Ghana, they say yes, please, for so many different things. You're talking and say, yes, please, yes, please. But I have to tell you this one real quick. So we're at the hotel. When we get to the hotel, and so they checked me into a beautiful room, beautiful hotel in a place called Tema. So I asked, it was about 4 or 5 of the workers there, what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? And they tell me. And one brother, he said, his name is Muhammad. I said, Muhammad? I gave him a hug. I said, I'm Muhammad too. And would you believe, from that day until I left, that brother came and knocked on my door every day to tell me that he was leaving. We have to cut for a break, but I'll be right back.
The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the Street 919 FM.
The first premier event of Tobago Carnival 2022. The ultimate carnival premier event. Your event celebrity cast. Starring Showin Winchester, Kamanabi, Viking Ding Dong, Swap Dan Swabi, Mr. Oscar B, the beautiful Adana, Mr. Iwer George, straight out of St. Vincent, Kimmy Fabulous, Sharice Roberts, the soca queen herself, will be gracing the stage live with all her massive hits. October 25th, Pigeon Point Beach, Heritage Park. Are you ready?
Want to furnish your home in style? Stylus Furniture makes this possible. Shop using our affordable layaway options to purchase any of our modern sectionals, dining, living room, or bedroom sets. and receive a dinner voucher for 2 at Ateliers Restaurant and Lounge. For further information, contact us at 652-2542, 652-2688, and 790-1202. You can also visit any of our branches located at 101 Crackness Village, Princestown, and 51 Rushwood Street in San Fernando. Stylus Furniture, for the style in you.
91.9 FM Bagel Bashment presents Pop Up the Boat Truck.
We just wanna party, party, party. We just wanna shut it down.
On board the Embassy, Sunday, 16th October 2022. Boarding 2 p.m., sailing 3 p.m. at the Pigeon Point, Tobago. For tickets, call or purchase at Pigeon Point, Tobago Jetty, 281-4723, 363-4030, or 368-1932. Or visit us on Facebook at Embassy Cruises for bookings. Or email us at embassycruises@gmail.com. Pop up Boat Ride!
Every time we touch it, whole place mash up when the bus is bust up. Call the friend, call the crew. Yeah, what we do? I say, we bring the life to events. We love to party with all our friends. If we are, we go climb to the fence. If we are, we go climb to the fence.
Team Colors of We and Create a Smile Foundation presents Cheers to Life. Cheers to Life, a charitable event. October 29th, Bear Top Bar, formerly Mari's Bar, on Eastern Main Road, opposite Wassa. Advance tickets cost $40 and 2 non-perishable items, or $50 by the door. Music by top DJs, live performances by Snakey, Eddie Charles, RKG,
she tell me she have nobody, but she says she will love,
and many more. For ticket information, call 296-4493 or 277-8740 or at the Bear Top Bar. This event is sponsored by K2K, Alarm and Sound, Pepe's Marketing, Street 919 FM, Everslick Auto Care, Manipul Branding, One Shot Photography, Bear Top Bar. Help make happiness a gift this Christmas, October 29th. Cheers to Life, the charitable event.
Tobago. Are you ready for Time Off? Time Off. October 17th till the 21st, aboard the luxurious Embassy Yacht. It's the pre-pump to Tobago's Carnival, featuring Iwer George.
Well, I want to see everybody mad in the front.
Alongside your Street 919 DJs. Walk with your coolers. Walk with your food. We board at 2 p.m. and sail promptly at 3 from the Pigeon Point Jetty every day. Tickets cost $200 at Island E-Ticket at 919 offices in Tobago.
I want to get wild. I want to get crazy.
For more information, call 485-3862. Time Off, the Tobago Carnival pre-pump from Monday 17th of October till the 21st. Aboard the Embassy every day.
91.9 Bagel Bashment presents On Board the Embassy, Tobago Carnival Boat Ride Week.
Tobago Carnival Boat Ride Weekend.
Boarding at the Pigeon Point Jetty. Kicking things off from the 24th to the 30th of October. Walk with your food and coolers. Come experience October 24th. Pan on the boat. October 25th. ISO on the boat. October 26th. Hackney on the boat. Tickets are $200. Available at islandetickets.com or 91.9 FM Tobago. The party continues October 27th. Water on the boat. October 28th. Power Soca. October 29th. Groovy on the boat.
October 30th.
Juve on the boat. Tickets are $200. Available at islandetickets.com or 91.9 FM Tobago. For tickets, call 4723 363-4030 or 368-1932. Or check us out on Facebook at Embassy Cruises for bookings. Or email at embassycruises@gmail.com. Tobago Carnival Ride Weekend.
Blessings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You are invited to listen to the Final Hour broadcast heard every Monday from 12 midnight to 5 a.m. in the morning on the Street 919 FM radio. Here my mom, Pastor Helen Garcia, and myself, Pastor Valentine Garcia Jr., preach the Word of God to the elderly, youth, and children. We can be contacted at 629-0113 or 623-8444. The church is located at 26 Prince Street in Port of Spain. We look forward to you joining us. God bless you.
As my life I lay it on the altar, as my life.
The steel pan, the only musical instrument invented in the 20th century, is a reflection of the perseverance and innovativeness of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, which have always been central to our development as a nation. And the steel pan story epitomizes this, carved out of life and struggle and determination, rising out of the spirit of the African drum. The steel pan stands today as evidence of innovativeness, creativity, and passion for life integral to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. My name is Kwesi Paul. Join me each and every Sunday from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight on the Street 91.9 FM.
91.9 is counting down 91 days of Christmas. Yes, 91 days of Christmas. It's karaoke, prizes to be won, giveaways. It's the 91 days of Christmas on the Street, 919 FM.
I could sing a good serenade. Oh, it's Christmas.
Looking for a safe and relaxed professional massage therapist and nutritionist? Look no further. Nature's Touch with Empress Judy and Associates offers a natural approach to better health. Treat yourself to a professional massage therapy and nutrition advice in a safe and relaxed atmosphere. Rejuvenate your body, mind, and soul at Nature's Touch Therapy. For an appointment, please call or WhatsApp 1-868-398-8282. or visit our Facebook page. Remember, your health is our responsibility at Nature's Touch.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Brotherhood is required. Brotherhood is demanded. Brotherhood is obligatory.
Black man, get up. Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen.
So there's a need for brotherhood.
Black man, get up. Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen. Black man, get up. Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen.
Brotherhood is demanded.
Black man, get up. Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen.
Brotherhood is required. Brotherhood is demanded. Brotherhood is obligatory. Brotherhood is essential, it is urgent, and it is compulsory.
Whenever the dominant white society fears for its economic future, racial tensions are always aggravated. The aim of Almighty God is to bring the black man and woman together. The aim of Almighty God is that we, no matter how divided we have been in the past, must experience unity in order to gain the success that we seek and the progress that we desire. There is no way that a divided people can build a future. Brotherhood is required. Brotherhood is demanded. So there's a need for brotherhood. But if you walk the earth proud and arrogant, you never learn your lesson because you think you already know. And how in the hell could you know and be in the shape that we're in? How can there be any brotherhood if there's not even the honoring of a word?
Black man, get up. Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen. Black man, get up. Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen. Black man, get up. Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen.
But the Quran and the Bible bear witness that the heavens and the earth were created with truth.
Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen.
Brotherhood is required. Brotherhood is demanded. Brotherhood is obligatory. Brotherhood is essential. It is urgent and it is compulsory.
Welcome back, and welcome to the second hour of the Black Agenda here on the Street 919 FM. We're going up to 9 o'clock this morning. And just reminding you, this morning at 10 o'clock at the Kwame Ture Center, the Boys Academy, the George Padmore Boys Academy sessions continue, and we have a special motivational session this morning that I will be conducting for our boys, young men, 17 years and under and over as well. But we're focusing particularly on the youth, and we're going to share some very powerful ideas. We're going to extract some of those thoughts, like I said in the first hour, from some of those great books such as Rich Dad, Poor Dad and The Richest Man in Babylon, and ideas from people like Stephen Covey and Les Brown and Anthony Robbins and Napoleon Hill, etc. Think and Grow Rich. So we're packaging some of these ideas, and as I had made the point in the first hour as well, a lot of these writers charge multiple thousands of dollars to attend their seminars, and their seminars often attended by those who are, of course, willing and able to invest that kind of money in becoming more successful. So it is one of our objectives at the George Padmore Boys Academy to empower our youth in a way that would have taken so long, cost so much, and required so much resources to do. All right, that's part of our service for our community. And like I said, November the 6th, with the opening of Black History Month, God willing, going to present some of the video footage and images from the slave dungeons in Ghana. A life-changing experience. All right. So, let me go to the phone lines. Our numbers are 342-0081 and 466-5391. So just before I went to the break, I asked the question, who do you think the most famous Trinidadian is in Ghana? And I've gotten some messages. All right, but let's see if we can answer. Caller, good morning.
A pleasant morning to you, Dr. Mohammed.
Good morning. How are you doing?
It's a long time.
Yes,
Philosopher and friend and doctor. Let me say pleasant morning to your family, to the Black Agenda, the Black Caucus, and the Kwame Tori institution, learning institution there, and to all the wonderful teachers and kids, students in your place. Look, let me attempt to answer the question and see how I could bring my own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I want to believe it's Marshall Montano.
Oh no! I'm not talking about. Well, to be honest, I did hear Bunji Garlin's voice on the radio over there in Ghana, but it wasn't one of his songs. Actually, it was like a sample.
Not an entertainer.
No. I'm excluding entertainers. It's possible that there might be some entertainer
Can I have one more pick at the cherry, please?
Of course.
The Honorable Austin Jack Warner.
You know what? He might be somewhere up there, but I'm not talking about him.
Well, nevertheless, I think I'll leave it to someone else.
Yeah. All right.
Dr. Mohammed,
Yes.
I want to go somewhere.
Yeah.
I was listening to your editorial, and about 2 months back, I had a conversation with 2 Jamaican businessmen. And just as recent, I had a conversation with some African businessmen. You know, from time to time, I will call you off the air, look at me, somebody from the continent, which you could attest to that. And let me say this before I say what I have to say. This has nothing to do with your movement, because I do not believe you have the finance and the wherewithal in order to establish such what I'm about to say. But I need to establish that for the mischief listeners and who online. So let me put that out there. Here's the billion-dollar pertinent question I want to ask. But I've got to tie it into other ways to show you where I'm going. And I think you will understand. When will we see an association of the African, for instance, you have, and mind you, some of them is listening because they tell me they do listen to your program. So, of course, if I meet them out there, they will say, my brother, you posed the question to him. The question goes as this. When will we see an association where people coming from Africa, Jamaica, all these Caribbean countries, where they could get loans to start business like how the Chinese Association have it? You want me to stay on the air, or you will deal with it when I come off?
Well, to be honest, I don't have a very lengthy answer to that at this point. All I could say is that we have to continue along in the process of empowering ourselves and each other through our linkages, connections, and networks. All right, let me tell you something that I was not planning to say this morning.
Come on.
And something that made me sick while I was in Ghana. Again, I don't want to reveal too much, but let me say this. In one of the meetings that we had, right? Now, again, remember, my whole experience in Africa was on the platform of Africa-Caribbean unity. People of African descent in the diaspora, in particular the Caribbean, reconnecting with our African heritage, and an exploration of dual citizenship with Africa. All right? That's my platform. We met with an ambassador. I'm gonna give very measured details on this. We met with an ambassador, a representative of a government, not the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And in talking about this Africa Caribbean initiative, remember, it's people who are the essence of this. In speaking to this distinguished gentleman in Africa, he wasn't born in Africa, but he's an ambassador for a government. And he's telling me in a conference room in Ghana of the pride that he feels now that certain business connections have been made between Africa and Trinidad and Tobago. So immediately I started to feel pride too. Because I'm from Trinidad, right?
Come on now.
And then he goes on to say, and I'm just going to use some surnames to make a point. Okay?
Go ahead, brother.
Now, these surnames that I'm using are not necessarily the actual names of the individuals, but apparently these persons or persons of this ilk have been propelled forward with the assistance of our state to hold on to an advantageous position of doing trade with Africa. So he sees me as this ideological figure from Trinidad and Tobago who has this narrative of uniting and connecting African peoples from the continent and the diaspora. He says, yes, we are so proud to tell you that we have established, through your government and so on, some Trinidadian businessmen who will be investing in Africa. And then he goes on to list some names along the lines of Sabga and Abood. And I'm like, I said, let me tell you something. And I said something to him about some sociological business in how some of these societies work. And I went away from that feeling, again, I felt sick. I mean, you want to take literally every penny that any black person can spend. You want to monopolize and literally suck the blood dry out of the poor. And now, here we are with this consciousness, making connections between African people in Africa and African people in the diaspora. And that's going to be taken too? I was like, damn.
Can I interject?
And I felt awkward. I felt like, yeah, I'm really back in Trinidad now. But again, but you see, there's more to say on that. All right?
Can I say something before I come out?
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, the old people have a saying, God does work in mysterious ways and it's wonders to be performed. Now, I call genuinely to say what I have to say and hear what you reveal. That is what they call a bombshell. And why I tell you that, I hope you take that thing and package it what you desperate and let Trinidad hear it. And I have to go there this morning. I'm going in the murky waters. So what you telling me, doctor, philosopher, and friend, with so much African businessmen in Trinidad, a government which we continue to hear from its supporters on this third program is African and black, and yet still behind our backs, they're promoting the 1% and other race to come in here to do business. I want to say this before I come out. What a shame!
All right, well, let me say this to you on that, because I would not say entirely that it is the government.
What's a government official?
But here where, yeah, well, it was a representative of a government, not the government of Trinidad and Tobago, but an ambassador of a country. But here where my focus is, and here where my focus has always been on this topic. I am not looking at them. I am looking at us.
I hear you.
And if we don't take the opportunity to connect with each other, if we keep throwing stones at each other and shooting each other and being involved in gang warfare with one another, and meanwhile, some of those who represent our communities are helping to empower the local white community or the local elite community, I'm still not looking at them. I'm still looking at us. And I need to find a way within my community to find out how we can get brothers to stop hating brothers, sisters to stop hating sisters. That's where my interest, attention, and concern is, not on them.
And Doctor, as I take my leave for time, let me throw my personal self in the brew. And it's time. I didn't want to go there, but you forced my hand. All and sundry know that Tabakit is African. And Doctor, from 2015 till this morning, anywhere my name comes up for any contract, anything, I get a thumbs down. And I'll tell you, 99.9% of the people in the government who I know of the politics, because they know that I am a mainstream voice for the UNC as Africans, I get nothing. I'll leave it right here. Tabak it out and out.
Thank you. I want to make one more observation about Ghana. I'll make it in a while. But still, I'd like someone to answer, if they can, who is the most famous. And again, of course, this isn't any empirical survey that was done. This is simply from my vantage point, okay? In going to Africa, in speaking to so many people who were aware of this Trinidadian and their contributions. So who is the most famous Trinidadian in Ghana? Again, we're not talking about a sports person or a singer or an entertainer. Certainly there are probably people from Trinidad much more well-known in that field, okay? But we're talking about ideology. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning, sir.
I would say the man who invented the phrase Black Power.
Very close, because there's a little connection there. Very close. So Kwame Ture from Trinidad and Tobago was a confidant of, anyway, Kwame Ture took the first name of Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana and the surname of Sekou Touré of Guinea, who were the first two independent African nations after colonialism. So, yes, people are aware of Kwame Ture, but this other Trinidadian is someone who, okay, especially on the day, I say I'm trying not to give away a clue, but especially... No.
But you're talking about a religious holiday.
No, it wasn't a religious holiday. It was the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Day. That's the day that he passed. September 21st, 1959. Okay? That's the day he passed.
Dr. Eric Williams?
No. But although Dr. Eric Williams did visit Ghana, you know, and it's such a beautiful thing for us because, again, I've been telling people when I was in Jamaica recently, I was emphasizing that. Remember, okay, so Ghana declared the year 2019, just before the pandemic, as the year of return. That's for us.
Yes.
People of African descent outside of Africa. This is the year of return. So, I mean, all that's part of the whole welcome home spirit.
Yeah, well, that's why I said, that's why they say what they said to you when you arrive at the airport.
Right, yes. But so during the year of return, when the president of Ghana, President Akko, visited a number of Caribbean nations, he removed, or an agreement was made with Guyana, with Jamaica, with Barbados, that there are no visa requirements.
Yes.
From 2019 go forward to enter Ghana.
Yes.
But what hardly anybody knew, including many Trinidadians, is that Dr. Eric Williams established this for us since 1966.
Okay.
This was a very progressive step for the Caribbean in 2019.
I acknowledge that.
But Dr. Eric Williams did that since 1966. And he wrote about it.
I saw that some time ago on Parliament Channel as well.
Right, and he wrote about it in the Inward Hunger. And so this is something for me to boast on now in places like Guyana and Jamaica, because it was a very welcome move. It was a great move. But there's another Trinidadian. And don't guess. Let's see if someone else could have.
So let me raise one more point.
Yeah.
That thing where you attended the supermarket or the quick shop. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Supermarket.
Yeah.
And that's welcome assistance.
Yeah.
Because of not just colonialism, Brother Mohammed.
Yeah, I know it's not just colonialism. This is why I say it's something that I would have to try to research a bit more.
All the way up to colonialism in order to control. But you know the difference between Trinidad and their culture to ours? They maintain their religion, which is Islam. Unlike in Trinidad and Tobago, we had French, we had Spanish, then we had the British, then the Americans landed, then we had the Jamaican influence. We as a society still compiling, as we still growing up and still compiling, what are we going to put together to identify who we are still in. We have a tonload of religion and a group of, imagine a man said to us some time ago, said to me on a radio program, bad service in Trinidad and Tobago. And the reason for bad service in Trinidad and Tobago is because of slavery. And I called that program with a host and said, well, that's a racist statement, because from the time you identify slavery, you identify a particular race.
You're trying to say that African people are responsible for bad service?
Well, I would assume that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Anyhow, let's leave it there. Enjoy it.
Oh man. Caller, good morning.
Very good morning.
Very good morning, my sister.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I know we say, Brother Mohammed, but I am always tempted, it's on my lips to say son. And this is one of the mornings. Welcome back to Trinidad, my son.
Welcome home, right?
Yes. But I want to accentuate the positive. And by chance, is it, oh gosh, I can't remember his name. But he wrote the book, Black Jacobin.
No, whoa.
It's not C.L.R. James.
No, it's not C.L.R. James. And I don't even want to comment, because anything that I say when you get, all the names that were called so far, if I comment, it would be a very close clue. But not C.L.R. James. In fact, but anyway, like I said, I'm not going to comment. But it's not C.L.R. James.
Okay. Welcome home.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, I am repeating what you were told.
All right.
For me, that says it all.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, let me accentuate the positive. When you touch the soil of the motherland, you are told, welcome home. They cannot stop this.
Yeah.
They cannot stop this. They cannot stop this. Listen to me. We question here why we Africans coming here don't get a load. Africans coming here can't even stay here if they want to. They're languishing in prisons for one reason only. Because they're so-called here illegally. They would rent an aircraft, millions of dollars to send them back to the motherland.
Oh, gosh. Things like that. Things like that are to be
why
ashamed
Africans
of.
don't get a loan? Listen, Brother Muhammad, they can't stop this. And all I keep telling you is continue doing your work.
And do you remember, I would have pointed it out in one of these years in review, that some time ago, they paid millions of dollars for a private plane to send Africans in this country.
Yes.
To deport them.
Yes.
They did not commit any crime. And the newspapers had the disrespect to say, as a headline for the story, back to Africa.
Yes, yes.
Now, on that, let me say this. For the 2010 World Cup, when we were announcing our campaign, around that time I was the manager of the Soca Warriors. And I remember attending the local organizing committee meeting, which was chaired by Jack Warner, to come up with a concept for our campaign to qualify for the World Cup. And I remember, no disrespect to the sisters there, but you know, there was a East Indian lady who had a concept, Soca Safari, that would be the name of our campaign, Soca Safari. And I stood up and objected. I said, for the first time ever, the World Cup is going to be held in Africa. And the term safari suggests that we're going to be visiting a jungle. And so they scrapped the idea, thank God. But I remember referencing Jamaica's campaign for the 2010 World Cup. Do you know what the title of Jamaica's campaign was for the 2010 World Cup?
Please tell us. No, I don't know.
It was Back to Africa. Back to Africa. And I thought to myself, wow, they haven't been there yet, but they're saying they're going back, which means they came from there in the first place. And that acknowledgement to me was so powerful.
Of course.
And you know what's ironic about that? Now, Jamaica, of course, didn't qualify. Trinidad and Tobago didn't qualify either. But Jamaica did so well in that stage. Because I remember Jamaica was in a group of 4 with Mexico, Honduras, and Canada and Jamaica. And this is probably the first time in history that a team did not qualify for the next stage after beating every team in their group.
Oh.
Jamaica beat Mexico. They beat Honduras and they beat Canada and still didn't qualify for the next round. I know it sounds odd, but basically they had 10 points. So they beat Mexico, Canada, and Honduras in Jamaica, and they drew with Canada on the road. So that's 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 1, 10 points. But I think 2 teams had 10 points and Mexico had 13 points. So Honduras ended up going ahead. But, I mean, they did so well. They did so well. I remember that was major heartbreak at the time.
Of course, of course. And with a team like that back to Africa, man.
Yeah.
Powerful. But I would say again that they can't stop this. African people have to, will, and must unite. In the third world, the African shall reign. But as well, there's another point. The way how they took the basket away from you and so on, that method of serving
Yeah.
in Africa. It's a common thing, and respect.
Yes.
I would never forget the lecture that I heard with this gentleman who worked in Africa. And he said there are things that you find all over Africa, whereas they always want to highlight the differences that we speak so many dialects and all of this kind of a nonsense. He said the way the respect for the elders, when they say, I take your feet, they do it. They literally do it. They see an elder, they bend down and touch the feet. And that man said he had experienced that so many times. He said it wasn't, coming from Trinidad, it was embarrassing. I had a friend who experienced the same thing, and he said it was so embarrassing at times. The children would, I take your feet, and you would have to touch them, and you would have to tell them rise. Another thing is the way the respect for those who passed on, they speak of them in the present tense, and that is something all. And there are so many things, and that way of serving and being respectful, that's a normal African thing. So we have to keep accentuating the positive. I don't even want to mention the picture they want to paint of us in this part of the world, that we are all with guns and that madness. But anyways, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much, sister. Thank you,
brother.
And interestingly, I've been doing all of these PowerPoint presentations showing cities of Africa. I mean, in the schools I do it, at the Kwame Ture Center I do it, I've done so many lecture presentations. We have the visual images of Lagos, Nigeria, Accra, Ghana, Kampala, Uganda, South Africa, Togo, Benin, Burkina Faso, Kenya, Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, all of these great cities and how developed they are. And here I am now in Accra, Ghana, seeing it for myself. Africa, anyone who goes to Africa and sees the cities would immediately, it's like a slap in the head of realization of the lies that we were told about Africa. Call, are you there?
Yes, I'm right here, Brother David.
Yes, sir.
I want to show the hypocrisy in the United Nations. We are called abomination because they don't like the bomb up the nation. Because the Secretary General run to Pakistan, flood on steroids. And right next door, Afghanistan was in the same flood zone. If you ever watch here, that's why he didn't go to Afghanistan, is because, quote unquote, Afghanistan is a terrorist running Afghanistan, the Taliban, the terrorists. Right now, Sudan and Nigeria flood out. You know, in step foot in Africa yet. If you was watching, you know. And another thing, the Gulf Corporation Council, where mostly the Arab, they're not sending no relief to nobody in Africa. What a thing, even in Sudan, where mostly Muslim, Nigeria half Muslim, if you was watching, and no relief from these people, Brother David. Prophecy with that eye watching right now that is going on. The African Union also, they need to cooperating, they need to coming together. If you want to understand, Brother David, for the welfare of Africa, everybody see for themselves. That is what's going on in Africa, Brother David. Unity is not there yet. I see beautiful cities and there are places in Africa that is second to none. So pristine and clean, you understand? That is the mindset of these people who know what it is to be prosperous in Africa. So the whole of Africa should take example from these cities and people that you identify right now and make the whole of Africa like that. And the communication between Africa and the Caribbean is also in not only the people, Brother David, it's the land we're dealing with, Brother David. And the land called Africa and the land called the Caribbean. You're dealing with the land. Who control the land? People control the prosperity of the nation. Thank you very much, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you. He didn't attempt to answer the question, but that's cool.
Good morning, Brother Mohammed.
Good morning. Do you have an answer of who you think the most famous Trinidadian is in Ghana?
In Ghana, the most famous Trinidadian?
Yeah. And outside of culture, sport, and entertainment. I shouldn't say culture.
Maybe Jenny.
Okay, not a bad try, but anyway, go ahead.
First and foremost, I'd like to say that, tell me if I'm wrong, I'm of the view, even though you're Muslim and you're hosting this program, it's about black people. Not so much about Islam, it's about black people.
That's kind of awkward, though. Does every Christian do a program about Christianity all the time?
No,
I don't understand. Does every Muslim do a program about Islam?
No, because if I am a Christian and I am doing accounts, I'm speaking on accounts, I'm speaking about accounts, even though I have a Christian background. You understand me? So I'm not trying to cast aspersion in terms of you bringing your religion to the program. That is not my agenda here.
Well, listen, I mean, my religion is my way of life. I don't see it as something that is something for Fridays or Sundays or Wednesdays, and it's separate to the other things. The reason that I teach is because one of my religious duties is to impart knowledge and also to engage in the emancipation of slaves. That is part of the religion of Islam. And if we are mentally enslaved by a corrupted Eurocentric history, then part of my Islamic duty is to challenge that and to dismantle systems of injustice that exist within our society.
The reason I raised that, right, I'm listening carefully to what is happening. We'll have a political spin come to it. We have a religious spin come to it. We'll have all of this spin come to it. At the end of the day, the group that we're trying to bring deliverance to, everyone seems to have a camp they belong to and seem to hinder us from coming together to deal with our group as we ought to deal with our group. Right? Now, both of us know, because I believe you're a man well read, that both Islam and Christianity, if you want to say Christianity and Islam, in time past had a negative effect on black people. We know that. But we're not dealing with that.
I would disavow that. Not the Islam that I believe in.
But
and the Islam that I believe in comes from the Holy Quran. There is nothing in the Holy Quran that was negative.
I'm trying to avoid the religion.
No, but so you throw a stone and then hide your hand. All I'm saying is when you and there is truth in what you're saying. Yeah. There most certainly is truth in it. But if you say that, for example, Islam had a negative effect on black people in some way, I would correct that by saying Arab culture or Arab people who claimed Islam as their religion participated in acts that were negative to black people.
We can agree on that. What I'm saying is we are seeing in Africa currently that leaders trying to bring down borders to bring our people together.
Right.
It's not about abandoning one's identity.
Yeah.
But it is about trying to treat with those things that are keeping us from coming together. I am willing to come together with any group, even yourself, even though I'm not of your religion, to come up with policies, because we don't know what's the problem. We just keep regurgitating the problem. We know what is the problem. To come up with policies, approach any government, whether it's a PNM government, a UNC government, or whatever, and say, this is where our people is at. this is what we need, with that long-term goal you have of bringing Africa to motherland and the children in the diaspora together, I am willing to work with any group, right, to achieve that objective. And one of the final things I would like to know I can get dual citizenship to Ghana. Right?
Right.
But I'm putting it there because many of the callers calling and they're putting a political spin to this. They're putting this spin to this. They do it black people.
Well, I don't think that's that. But okay, but hear what? That may be so, but that hasn't happened on this program. And if it starts to happen on this program, we try to discourage it. And what I'd say to you as well, my beloved brother, is I share just about every concern that you've raised. However, you have, in my opinion, and take this as a minor critique, I believe you and me and us together, either in this lifetime or after we're gone, achieve these goals. I believe that. But I think in what you have said, you have given a little bit too much energy to the negative forces who are against rather than towards the positive forces that are for. It comes back to like what was being said earlier about the 1%, all the oppression, all the exploitation. My focus is not on them. My focus is on us. I'm not going to go and march and picket and complain and grumble about what they're doing. I'm going to try to organize and mobilize and unite and pool resources among my people.
When you said that my focus is upon us, I was going to call him. When you said my focus is upon us, I said, right, okay, that's what I think we need to deal with. Let us focus on them.
Good.
Let us, just as the Jews focus on the Jews, just as the Hindu we see now going on in India, as they focusing on themselves, let us focus on them.
Agreed.
Right? And once we can focus on us, we need to know what are the problems, come up with policies, working policies, not you working in just in a corner, I working in a corner.
Right.
But working policies, we can approach the powers that be and say, here, what's going on? This is where our people is at. This is where we want to go.
Right. So we're speaking the same language now. So finally, do you want to attempt answering who the most famous Trinidadian in Ghana is?
Before I answer that, all right, dead or alive?
Well, you know, we don't like to refer to those who have died in the cause of Allah's dead. I mean, he's passed on. Yes.
All right. So I would think that Dr. Eric Williams.
Okay, Dr. Eric Williams might run a close third in the context. But no, it's not Dr. Eric Williams. But thank you, though. Thank you for calling.
Beautiful program. Thanks again.
Thank you. Praise be to Allah.
Yeah.
We have maybe just about, 6 or 7 minutes left for the program. Someone please... Okay, let me give you a clue now. Time for clues, because the time for the program is running short. This is a name that I say quite a bit. Quite a bit. Okay? Good morning, caller.
George Padmore.
Oh, Lord. Jeez. Yes.
Yeah.
George Padmore.
Yeah, well, you see, Brother David, I've been following you a very long time.
And look, just the other day, what was that initiative that we launched? We run the George Padmore Boys Academy every Saturday morning.
I was down there when you had a lecture on a certain topic, I think around May time now, if you was watching.
Right.
And your name is mentioned all the time.
All the time. All the time.
Trinidad person, I just can't offer call him right now. But I the second person After George Padmore.
Right, which I would say would probably, well, for those in Ghana who know the history, it would be CLR James.
Yes, that is the name.
Right, because it was at, okay, so you'd have heard me speak on many occasions that it was a Trinidadian, Henry Sylvester Williams, who hosted the world's first Pan-African Congress in London, England in the year 1900, where there were delegates from 30 different countries all over the world. I believe W.E.B. Du Bois himself was there. Now, at the fifth, check this out, at the fifth Pan-African Congress, which was in Manchester in 1945, it was October 1945, right after World War II, CLR James of Trinidad introduced Kwame Nkrumah to George Padmore. And he said, this brother is going places. And then George Padmore became not just a close friend of Kwame Nkrumah, first president of Ghana, but they came up with this principle: African culture without tribalism. And Kwame Nkrumah's vision, which was really the brainchild of George Padmore from Trinidad, was that we are going to promote African culture minus our differences, our division, and our disunity. And George Padmore of Trinidad became one of the architects of the consciousness of Ghana, of Africa. And when Kwame Nkrumah became the first president, George Padmore was seen as his chief advisor. So after George Padmore, and anyone who knows, because remember I got there literally the day before the public holiday, honoring Kwame Nkrumah. Anyone in Ghana who knows anything about Kwame Nkrumah will tell you, oh, George Padmore. But you see, they don't know that he's from Trinidad. They just know him as a inspirational ideological figure for Ghana. So George Padmore way ahead. Way ahead. After him, maybe CLR James. CLR James made the introduction, and it was at the Pan-African Congress in Manchester in 1945. And then after that, maybe Dr. Eric. In fact, maybe Dr. Eric Williams second, because of the connections that he would have made between Ghana and Trinidad and Tobago.
I just want to say this. Right now, it should be easier for these leaders in Africa and the Caribbean to really get this thing on the right footing.
But remember, they started the summit, the Africa CARICOM summit.
According to the last caller, I want a flight from Trinidad and Tobago landing in Nigeria.
Well, there you go. Well, thanks so much for calling, my dear brother. And this last thing I'll say this. Oh, time is up. Listen, I'm a citizen of two different countries. I have two different passports. And landing in Ghana was the first time ever that I was told, hey, put away that other passport. Use this one here. This Trinidad and Tobago passport is powerful here. All right, so I'll be with you next week. Stay tuned to the Street 919 FM. Assalamu alaikum.